Ladies and gentlemen, the world you see is only the shadow of your inner state. If you long for someone's return, do not chase the shadow. Go to the root, the cause, which lives in your own imagination. There is no distance in consciousness. There is no separation in spirit. The same mind that animates you animates them. And the place where you meet is not in the outer world, but in the inner, where all things are joined. If you desire their return, you must send no signal of longing, no cry of desperation, for such a cry tells the inner world that they are still absent. Instead, enter the silence. Close your eyes to the evidence of your senses. Feel the reality of what you want, not as something that might happen one day, but as something happening now. See them as already with you. Hear their voice. Feel the warmth of their presence. Smell the familiar scent that belongs only to them. Let every sense testify that they are here. The world you see before you is not the cause of your experiences. It is only the mirror reflecting what you hold within yourself. Every event, every relationship, every encounter in the outer realm is born first in the inner realm of imagination. If you attempt to change the outer world without addressing the inner state, you are merely rearranging shadows, never touching the light that casts them. You may move from place to place, speak to countless people, try to persuade, beg, or manipulate, yet all of it will be fruitless if the root within remains the same. The outer world has no life of its own. It takes its instructions from your inner assumptions, your feelings, your persistent mental pictures. Just as a film projector cannot show an image that is not on the reel, life cannot reflect what you have not impressed upon your inner consciousness. When you understand this, you stop wasting energy in the wrong place. You no longer try to fight the shadow on the wall, for you know that the shadow is powerless. Instead, you turn inward to the projector itself, to the mind, to the place where the true script is written. If you wish for someone to return, the answer is not found in chasing them or attempting to alter their behavior. It is found in changing the state of being from which you relate to them. If your inner state is one of longing, you will continue to experience longing. If your inner state is one of absence, you will continue to see absence reflected back to you. The secret lies in living inwardly from the state you desire to experience outwardly. This means feeling, seeing, and knowing that what you want is already so, even if your senses scream the opposite. The senses only report the old state. They cannot reveal the new until it has been accepted within. You must train yourself to become more faithful to the unseen reality than to the visible world. This is not self-deception. This is creation. The visible world is the delayed photograph of your inner state. What you hold in consciousness now will appear later in the physical realm, as surely as night follows day. By shifting your inner state, you shift the entire arrangement of your world. People will appear to change. Circumstances will seem to move in your favor. Doors you thought were closed will open, and opportunities you never considered will unfold before you. None of this is magic in the way the world thinks of magic. It is the natural law by which all experience is shaped. Every time you think a thought, dwell on an image, or indulge in a feeling, you are issuing an instruction to life. The outer world obeys these instructions with exact precision, without judgment, without hesitation. It does not care whether your instructions bring you joy or sorrow. It only reflects them. This is why the outer world cannot be blamed for what it shows you. It is not your master. It is your servant. If the servant brings you a dish you do not like, you do not scold the servant. You change the order you gave. The moment you shift your assumption from lack to fulfillment, from separation to union, you have given life a new command. And because the command is given in the invisible, it will move through channels you cannot see until the evidence appears before you. It will reach the very person you have in mind, not through force, but through the unseen connection that binds all consciousness together. When you truly understand that the outer world is only the shadow of your inner state, You stop fearing its appearances and begin shaping them with deliberate care, knowing that every change begins within and that the outer must follow. True telepathy is not the exchange of words between two minds, but the silent transmission of feeling from one consciousness to another. Words belong to the outer world. They are symbols, clumsy and often misunderstood. Feeling, however, is pure, immediate, and beyond misinterpretation. It is the universal language of creation. When you desire someone's return, you do not need to tell them in speech or write them in letters. You need only embody within yourself the feeling that they are already present with you. This is the signal that is heard without ears, the message that is received without mail, the connection that bypasses all physical distance. Every thought you think carries with it a vibration, and every vibration seeks its own level. If your mind is saturated with feelings of lack, longing, and absence, you are sending out a signal of separation, and the law of life will match you with more of the same. If, however, you dwell in the feeling of fulfillment, of love already shared, of connection already restored, you send out a signal that calls forth its own likeness. This is not done through straining or forcing the thought. It is done through quietly accepting that what you wish for is already yours in the unseen. The true work is done in imagination, for imagination is the creative power. You must learn to quiet the chatter of the mind and step into the scene of your fulfilled desire as if it were happening right now. See yourself in the place you long to be. Hear the voice you long to hear. Feel the hand you long to hold. Do not imagine it as something to come in the future. Imagine it as a living reality in the present moment. The more vividly and naturally you can dwell in that feeling, the stronger and clearer your signal becomes. There is no need to worry about whether they receive it, for in the realm of consciousness, there is no separation. You and the one you think of are not two disconnected beings trying to reach across a void. You are joined in the one great mind, and what is impressed upon your own awareness is impressed upon the whole. They will feel it as their own thought, their own impulse, without knowing its origin. They may wake one morning with an unexplainable desire to see you, or find themselves remembering moments with you and feeling drawn back. These are not accidents. They are the outer reflections of the inner signal you have sent. What matters most is the purity of the feeling you hold. If it is mixed with fear, resentment, or doubt, then the signal is distorted and the result will be uncertain. This is why you must clear your mind of any thought of separation or delay. The moment you accept that the connection is already renewed, you have sent the clearest possible message. And this message is not carried by sound or sight, but by the living energy of your assumption. When you rest in this inner knowing, you no longer cling to the outer forms. You no longer check your phone for messages or watch the door for their arrival. You understand that the signal has already been sent and received. The law will see to its manifestation in perfect timing and in perfect order. All you need to do is remain faithful to the inner reality, holding it with the quiet confidence of one who knows that feeling is the only true language of creation, and that what is felt as real within must appear without. Enter the silence and allow the outer world to fade from your attention. The senses will always tempt you to believe in what is seen, but creation begins with what is unseen. To send a true telepathic signal, you must turn inward to the realm where all things exist in potential and choose deliberately the reality you wish to occupy. In the silence, you are no longer bound by the evidence of the past, the opinions of others, or the apparent distance between you and the one you desire. Here, in this still place within, you are free to fashion the scene exactly as you wish it to be. Close your eyes and withdraw from the noise of outer life. Let your breathing slow and your mind grow still. As the world outside loses its grip, the inner world will become vivid. In that inner world, bring before you the image of the one you wish to see again. Do not picture them as absent or distant. See them as here, with you now. Notice the details. the way they stand, the look in their eyes, the way their presence feels in the space around you. The more sensory richness you can give to this inner scene, the more alive it becomes, and the more powerfully it is impressed upon consciousness. This act is not mere daydreaming, it is deliberate creation. The difference lies in the feeling you allow to accompany the image. Daydreaming keeps the desire at arm's length, always in the realm of someday. True creation claims it now, inhabits it now, and refuses to see it as separate from the present moment. You must feel the scene as though it were unfolding at this very instant. You must hear their voice not as a memory or a hope, but as something happening here and now. If the senses whisper, it isn't real, do not fight them, for resistance only feeds doubt. Instead, gently return to the feeling of their presence. Let the joy of the moment wash over you. Let your inner senses testify that they are with you, even if your outer senses say otherwise. Remember that the outer is always slow to reflect the inner. What you hold within will inevitably take form without, but only after it has been accepted and sustained in consciousness. Remain in this inner union until the feeling becomes so natural that you almost forget the outer absence. This is the secret, making the desired state so familiar inwardly that it feels inevitable outwardly. When the feeling is natural, you are no longer trying to make it happen. You are simply living in it. And from this state, the telepathic signal goes forth effortlessly, without strain, without the grasping energy of want. It is a signal of possession, of fulfillment, and it will be received in the same spirit. Those who receive it may not understand why they suddenly think of you, or why the idea of returning feels so compelling. They may simply feel drawn, as if something beyond reason is pulling them toward you. This is the unseen bond at work. It is not manipulation, for you are not forcing them to act against their nature. You are calling forth the reality in which you already share the connection you desire. You are aligning yourself with the truth that in consciousness there is no separation, and that the inner union must, by the law of being, manifest in the outer world. In the silence, this union is already complete, and the outer will, in its own time, reveal it. Hold the inner scene steady and refuse the temptation to look outside yourself for proof that it is working. The moment you begin to search the outer world for signs, you shift your focus from creation to observation, from cause to effect, and in doing so you weaken the very state you are seeking to sustain. The outer world is always behind the inner. It is the echo, never the source. To look for evidence prematurely is like digging up a seed to see if it is growing. You interrupt the process and delay the harvest. When you have constructed the scene of your desire in imagination and clothed it with the feeling of reality, it is done in the unseen. The work from that point forward is not to create it again, but to remain faithful to the state you have assumed. This faith is not blind hoping, but the quiet certainty that comes from knowing the law. Just as you do not doubt that night will follow day, you must not doubt that the inner will be made outer. Your task is to dwell in the feeling of fulfillment so consistently that it becomes your natural home in consciousness. Doubt and impatience are signals to the mind that the desired state is still unreal. Each time you think, why isn't it here yet? Or, what if it never happens? You return to the state of not having, and the outer will reflect that. This is why persistence is so vital. You are not struggling to bring about a change in the world. You are simply maintaining the change you have already made within. The persistence is not in effort, but in refusal. Refusal to be moved by appearances, refusal to return to the old state, refusal to abandon the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is natural for the mind to want reassurance, to look for little hints and signs that you are on the right path. But signs will come unbidden when you no longer need them. The greatest sign of all is the change in your own state of being. When you feel at peace, when you can think of the desire without grasping at it, when it feels as though it has already happened, you have succeeded in planting it firmly in consciousness. The outer must eventually conform to that inner certainty. This steady holding of the inner scene is not about force or strain. It is about returning, again and again, to the inner reality whenever the mind drifts. Just as a compass always points north, your attention must always return to the state of fulfillment. No matter how many times you are tempted to check the outer or measure the progress, you bring your awareness back inside, to the place where the desire is already real. Over time, this becomes effortless, for the inner state will begin to feel more real than the outer conditions. The more natural this inner reality becomes, the more inevitable its outer reflection will be. People, events, and circumstances will arrange themselves to match the state you have maintained without your needing to force any of it. The law is certain sustained assumption hardens into fact. But the sustaining is your part to play. The world will mirror your state faithfully, but only after you have remained faithful to it long enough for it to take root. The harvest is guaranteed when the seed is left undisturbed, and the only way to leave it undisturbed is to rest in the knowing that what you have seen and felt within is already complete, and that the outer world has no choice but to reveal it. The law is certain. What you accept as true within yourself will harden into fact in the outer world. Life is not moved by your wishes, your words, or your pleading. It is moved by your assumptions, by the quiet convictions that you hold beneath the surface of thought. Every state of being you occupy will, in time, externalize itself in the events of your life. This is not a matter of chance or luck. It is the unfailing operation of the principle that the inner creates the outer. Just as a seed planted in the soil will, by its very nature, bring forth after its kind, so the inner state you persist in will, without exception, produce its corresponding outer form. If you desire someone's return, it is not enough to hope for it or to long for it. Hope keeps it always in the future. Longing confirms its absence. What is required is acceptance. Acceptance that it is already so in the unseen. When you can feel within yourself that the desire has been fulfilled, even while the outer shows no sign of change, you have planted the seed in the only place that matters. Once planted, it will grow of its own accord, provided you do not uproot it with doubt, fear, or contradiction. The certainty of the law should bring you peace, for it means that nothing is left to chance. The same law that governs the rising of the sun and the turning of the seasons governs the manifestation of your desires. It does not pick favorites. It does not fail in some cases and succeed in others. It responds with perfect precision to the state you maintain. The outer world is powerless to resist it, for the outer is only the reflection of the inner. Your role is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and to persist in that state until it feels natural. The moment it feels natural, the outer begins to rearrange itself. You may not see the changes immediately, for there is always a period where the seed is taking root beneath the surface. In that time, your senses will tempt you to believe nothing is happening. But the law is already at work, moving through channels you cannot yet see, drawing together people and events in perfect sequence to bring about the fulfillment you have accepted within. There is no need to force, to persuade, or to manipulate, for such actions are the tools of those who believe the outer world is the source. Once you know the law, you understand that the outer must follow the inner and cannot do otherwise. This knowing removes the strain from your practice, for you are no longer trying to make something happen. You are simply holding to what is already true in consciousness. When you understand this, you stop asking when or how it will come. Time and method belong to the outer. Your only concern is the inner. The more unwavering your inner acceptance, the faster the outer alignment will occur. Even if the path appears unexpected or illogical, you will see that every step was necessary and every turn perfect. The law does not fail, and once you have impressed your desire upon consciousness with feeling and persistence, the outcome is assured. What you hold as true within is not a matter of imagination in the weak sense. It is creation in its purest form, and the outer world has no choice but to bear witness to it. When you align with the end in belief, you call to them without effort, and the pull they feel is not something they can explain or resist. This alignment is not about hoping for a result or waiting for a change. It is the deliberate choice to dwell in the reality where the desire is already fulfilled. To align with the end means you no longer look toward the outcome as something distant, you live from it now. You feel the connection as present, the relationship as whole, the reunion as complete. In this inner state, there is no sense of reaching for something, for you already possess it in consciousness. Belief is not an act of willpower. It is the acceptance of a truth that you choose to inhabit. When you decide that the end you desire is your current reality, you stop questioning it, stop measuring it, stop wondering if it will happen. You simply rest in it as naturally as you rest in the knowledge of your own name. This inner resting sends out a signal that is pure and undisturbed. It is not charged with desperation, which repels, nor is it clouded by uncertainty, which weakens. It is the calm, magnetic certainty of possession, and it draws the outer world into harmony with it. Every time you return to the feeling of the end fulfilled, you are tuning yourself to the vibration of that reality. The outer world cannot help but respond, for it is compelled to match the state you occupy. Those you think of will feel the shift. Whether they understand it or not, they may suddenly think of you in moments of quiet, feel a longing to see you, or find themselves reminded of you through seemingly random events. This is not coincidence. It is the movement of consciousness, arranging circumstances in response to the state you have chosen. To maintain this alignment, you must guard your inner conversations. If your thoughts wander into fear, regret, or longing, you have stepped out of the end and back into the state of absence. Gently, without judgment, return to the end again. Revisit the scene in your imagination where all is as you wish it to be, and sink into the feeling of its reality. The more often you return, the more natural it becomes until the state holds you without effort. When the state of the wish fulfilled becomes your dwelling place, your outer actions will naturally align with it. You will find yourself speaking differently, carrying yourself differently, making choices that match the reality you have already claimed within. This is not forced behavior, it is the inevitable expression of an inner change. Just as a tree bears fruit according to its nature, your life will bear the fruits of the state you live in. The beauty of this process is that you do not need to concern yourself with how they will come back or what path will bring them. The end you have assumed contains within it every detail required for its manifestation. Your part is to live in the certainty of its completion, allowing the unseen law to move through people, events, and timing in ways you could not plan. The more unwavering your belief, the more powerfully you broadcast the signal, and the stronger the pull they will feel. In the one great mind, you are already together, and by dwelling in that truth now, you make it inevitable that the outer world will one day reveal what you have already accepted within.